Hey, what's up? This is Chosen. Going to be a Raid Shadow Legends video. We have got a ton of just so many summoning events. I can't even keep up with what's going on between all of the 10Xs and the guaranteed events and everything happening this week. But I want to give you my take on the summon events going on and let you know about at least mainly the two guaranteed events here, because it is for a new faction that just opened up Faction Wars. So we're going to talk about the champions up for grabs as guaranteed this week. Let's get into it. So, okay, first off, let's start with the events that are coming up for the 10X type of events, which we do have a Summon Rush starting tomorrow as well. We've got, first up on Tuesday the 25th, a 10X out of all shards for Ethos, Canderfon, and Hafrock. So a bunch of damage dealers right there, and all are pretty decent. I probably see Canderfon and Hafrock the most in the live arena, so it would probably be like 1, 2, 3 if I had to rank them. All are solid. I don't see like a Duchess or some account changing champion though. But then on the next day, on Wednesday, we're getting Ursaga, Duchess, and Kyoku. So obviously Duchess is going to be number 1. She's one of the best overall champions in the game, probably top 5 between like arena and PvE and all the different stuff that she brings. And then Kyoku is really good for some of those solo bommel strats and has a decent role in the game, but isn't generally viewed as amazing. And Ursaga feels like she's really been power crept in the last year or so. I used to see Ursaga a lot in live arena and arena fights and tag team arena and all that, but recently in the last year, I'm not really seeing her get used hardly ever at all, but she does have a really solid kit. But they're going to be doing another round of 10Xs on a Thursday, and we've got Riho, Wither, and Shemnath. Now, of these, Riho is probably the most sought after one right there. Wither, similar to Ursaga, has kind of been power crept in the last like 6 to 10 months. I used to see Wither a lot on some of those annoying tanky compositions, but has slowly kind of fallen out of favor. Still an awesome support, especially for like early to mid game progression through content. So yeah, lots of events this week. I think Duchess is going to be the one to watch out for, and anybody who's close to proccing a guarantee that is a medium to high spender, probably worth YOLOing a little bit for a Duchess. But the problem is 10Xs for non-void champions. I've talked about this extensively here on the channel. You're like 6.5% to get the champion out of a non-void 10X, even if you get a legendary. So you're really wishing upon a star, but it does happen. I had a summoning video recently where I went for a Theodore 10X and I actually did get him. So it is possible and it can happen. Duchess is one of those that's probably worth considering depending on your situation and where you're at on pulling for her, because she is probably a top 5 overall champion in Raid. But these are the ones that I wanted to go a little bit more in depth on, because we've got guaranteed events. And I think when you're pulling shards to get an exact thing, we can get a little bit more scientific about that and see if it's really going to have value or not, because the outcome is guaranteed, obviously, instead of leaving it up to RNG. So first up on Tuesday, starting tomorrow, we've got a guaranteed for Wyron the Silken for 40 Ancients. Okay. It better be somebody like Geomancer typically if it's going to be 40 Ancients. Maneater, some sort of composition unlocker, account changing, progression type champion, but it is Sylvan Watchers, so we'll have to see. But then they're also on the next day going to be doing one for 30 Voids here for Whitedryad Naya. So, okay, let's do these in order. First, 40 Ancients for Wyron, who is a Spirit Affinity epic right here in the Sylvan Watchers. So, base stats, pretty decent. HP a little bit low, but not too bad. Going to be great for boss fights in the Sylvan Watchers, because you do have the A1 here that's going to be a super consistent attack down. The A2, 4-turn cooldown's a little bit rough. Turn meter fill of 15, and you do get the big version of speed, so not bad. It's a 4-turn cooldown, so not as good as like a legendary, but definitely solid. And then you do get a revive here, and then a continuous heal along. Yeah, this champion is clearly designed for faction crypts and being able to progress through the Sylvan Watchers crypt. Gonna be solid. Worth a YOLO of 40 Ancients? Probably not. This one probably should have been like 25 Ancients as a guarantee, 25, 30, and it would have been a fun little Sylvan Watcher progression type champion. I don't know that it's worth 40 pulling outside of some other events and things going on. We're probably going to figure out the next like fusion fragment type of event pretty soon here, either this week or early in the next week. Within the next 7 or 8 days, I would expect we're going to start getting some teasers as to what that's going to be. So overall, probably going to go with Wyron not being worth it if I had to pick, but I could see for some accounts out there the possibility. I'll host a poll over on the community tab of the channel so you can voice your input on if Wyron and Whitedryad are worth the amount of shards that are being asked. And speaking of, Whitedryad Naya is going to be 30 Void Shards. Now, it is a fun one. Again, between the two, you could bring the decreased speed and the attack down, which is super nice. And I do love AoE A1s on a Void champion. Never going to hit weak, and you can constantly proc those stun debuffs with a stun set. Something like a Skull Crown is really popular to try and cheese through faction wars and stuff like that. So it does have some utility and does scale with defense, so going to be pretty tanky. Then also has an A2 right here to remove all debuffs from an ally and then heal them based on their max HP. And if the target of the skill is not this champion, it's going to decrease cooldown. So very cool ability there on the A2 for an epic to have. And then you're also getting ally protection and strengthen along with the passive of whenever she is healed. She's going to heal all allies except the champion. So yeah, again, a really fun progression type champion in Sylvan Watchers. And I think I was even using Whitedryad Naya in my Sylvan Watchers team. So I think they're definitely interesting. What would I have done them in terms of a realistic price? I mean, obviously we all wish they were 5 shards, but that's not going to happen. So in terms of a realistic price, Wyron, they're charging 40. I think this should have been 30. If it was 30 ancients, I think it would be a lot more justified. And then Whitedryad being 30, I think should have been 25 voids. It's kind of my take on the summoning event. So if I do a poll, I think it's going to lean towards people saying they're not going to do it and it's not worth it. But for some of you out there, I could see it making sense based on where you're at with the Sylvan faction, and if you don't have any of the type of progression champions you would need to help get you through some of that early to mid game content. But overall, I think they're just a little bit too heavily priced for me to recommend it in general. And while we're here, we do have, so Sand Devil, some normal stuff here. It would be nice to, I should probably jump in and do Sand Devil to get this Immortal Soulstone up here. What is the participation rate on this? So far, it looks like it's only going to be about 5 or 6% on the Sand Devil, so you could probably get an Ancient Shard as well. So I'll have to look into that. That might be worth it, depending on the group that you're in. Ice Golem, I mean, maybe 1,500 to scoop up your coins, but yeah, see, this one's got a 2% participation rate, which I consider over 1,000 points, and most people not really bothering. Yeah, the Sand Devil one will be a little bit more popular. Under the events, they do have this Path of Vengeance. Now, I think this is a pretty good idea of them to do this. The champions like Artak that a lot of people out there in the community are going to have, I want opportunities for people to get blessings on their champions that are structured like this. And I kind of like how they did this. They're letting you pick, do you want to go for the 2, the 3, the 4, or the 5, and also get an avatar right here. So what I'm going to do is start down the path of getting the 2-star. I'm going to at least lock that in. I probably won't be grinding super hard this week, or else I would probably try to go for like the 4 or the 5. We'll see. But I do want to at least scoop up the 2-star to throw on my Artak. And we can also go over the shop, see if there's anything worth talking about. Soulstone, this is the normal price on those. No, normal prices, pretty underwhelming. Elite Sacred, that'll actually grade out above average in terms of Plarium's pricing, but it wouldn't be a recommend for me on that one. 25 for a Sacred there. The Vengeance coin, 3K for 5, and then the 6,500, that'll be for 10, so it'll go 5, 10, and then, interesting, that'll probably, yeah, 5, 10, and then maybe 15 or something, but, yeah, I don't think so on that one. And then the Summer Play Pack, this is pretty typical, it's gonna be your 5-day, yep, 5-day, yeah, nothing that's really standing out to me as super special or amazing or worth recommending to even, like, mid-tier spenders, in my opinion. So, okay, wow, lots of summoning events going on this week, and like I said, I'm going to host polls over on the community tab so you can see how other people out there in the community are feeling about these different events going on if you want to head on over there to vote. And as always, I would appreciate your sub down below if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Peace.